Welcome to the Miss Pursuit podcast, the show that will inspire you to pursue an extraordinary outdoor lifestyle. I'm Carly Brasso, founder and CEO of Miss Pursuit, and we are obsessed with all things outdoors. We're here to help you on your messy and magical journey of getting outside. The tried and true secrets, tips, and tricks for starting, learning, and advancing your skills and passion for the outdoors. Shy away from real talk? Nope, not here. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the awesome of hunting, fishing, guns, archery, and wild game are all what you'll find here. Pull up a seat, get cozy, and be ready to be challenged and motivated while you learn. This is the Miss Pursuit podcast. We have Stephanie Rustad, who is the Western Regional Coordinator with the National Archery in the Schools program. Her ultimate goal really is just to give all of us the skills that we'll need to feel comfortable and confident walking on to any archery range. Okay, welcome to the Miss Pursuit podcast. Can I say, do you prefer Stephanie or Steph?
Either one works. A lot of people have been calling me Steph these days.
All right. We are so excited that you're here. Can you just kind of start and tell us, how did you get into archery? Because, I mean, you're cool. Like, I watch your Instagram and I'm like, oh man, this girl is legit. Like, you know what you're talking about, but you had to start somewhere.
So I've experienced almost every corner of the archery industry probably. So I started when I was 12 with my dad, and I got into it because he wanted to take me rifle hunting with him, and he had grown up shooting rifles and shotguns, and I don't even know if I expected him to actually say yes, but I was like, I don't want to shoot a gun, but I'll do archery. Well, next thing I know, he shows up with a bow in the backyard and says, "Okay, let's go shoot." So we both started shooting together, which was really fun. Got into bow hunting. When I turned 15, 16 in that area, we decided we actually wanted to start our own archery club because we were spending a lot of time driving to the archery range. Well, funny thing was, when I got my archery certification to become an instructor, then the archery shop was like, "Hey, you should come work to us." So I still spent as much time driving to the archery shop. So ran a club, worked at the archery shop until college, and then in college I actually stopped everything archery and didn't do it for a couple of years. But I got into duck hunting, which was kind of interesting. So I went to school in Montana, so it was a little different than Washington. And then I graduated, came back. I worked as a bank teller, and that was a miserable job for someone
That sounds
who
boring.
it was terrible, who loves the outdoors. And I randomly saw a job posting for archery education coordinator for Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife on Facebook one day. Paige Pierce had shared it from Miranda, who used to be the coordinator before me. And I said, "Well, I can do that. I've got a business degree, I've got an archery background. I could coordinate for a state." And I happened to get it, and now here we are. And I moved from that state coordinator position to now I actually have a regional coordinator position with the
Wow.
National Archery in the Schools program.
So you're legit. Like, you and this is where I try to make sure I'm very clear, because it does not matter where anyone is in their journey, right? So I just picked up a bow, but this is what I've learned over the last couple of, months or last couple of years.
Right.
Doesn't mean they're not legit. I've been bow hunting for 100 years. Cool, great. So everyone is on a different journey. Your journey is long time coming, and I think you offer a lot of really good advice, so I'm super excited.
Thank
Your
you.
Instagram really, like, I love watching it. So I don't bow hunt. I picked up my first bow, I guess 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I kind of liked it, I'm not gonna lie. So and now my husband's like, do we need to buy you a bow? And I'm like, well,
Yes.
maybe.
Yes.
It just seems so much more relaxing to me. One, like, so I'm a rifle girl. I mean, you can't just like go practice. It takes a lot of work to go out in the country or go to a range. And I feel like, a bow I could shoot in my backyard, just more calm,
Makes your neighbors a little happier.
probably a little happier or not so happy, depending on how I'm flinging arrows. Um, okay, so you worked at a bow shop.
I did.
Is, is that, how was that as a woman?
So It was interesting, actually. I was very lucky, and it was a family-owned bow shop, so at the time, it was just a father and son that worked there. They brought me on. I started off just doing a lot of cleaning and running lessons, and then pretty soon they started letting me start work on equipment and do different things. But when a middle-aged man would walk through the door, and I would be sitting right next to the door fletching arrows, and I'd say, "Hey, how's it going today? Can I help you with anything?" Almost every single one until they got to know me would say, "Oh, no, I'm gonna go have one of the guys help me." And they would walk by me, and it was funny because my coworkers and my boss, they'd always be like, "Oh, no, I'm busy right now. Let's have Stephanie can do it." And so they'd send them right back to me. So, that really made them actually learn that they could trust me to work on their stuff. No one ever walked out after that, so that was good.
That's good.
No one's bows ever blew up, but
Well,
but it was different.
what about women who are walking in? I think it's a little intimidating.
It absolutely is. I still get nervous going into a new bow shop and not knowing who's gonna be behind the counter. I hate to say it, but there still is a lot of good old boys club shops out there, and so it's very intimidating walking in to one of them for the first time.
So,
So
I mean, just walk in with a little confidence or walk in and say, "Hey, I have no idea what I'm doing. Is there someone here who could hold my hand for a little bit?" Or, because I mean, I'm scared. I don't want to go into a bow shop by myself.
right. I mean, I don't wanna say it, but if you have someone to take with you, sometime and it doesn't have to be a guy, if you just have a girlfriend that you could take with you who maybe shot a bow before or maybe hasn't, having that backup is kinda handy. Or do a little research beforehand. Know Not necessarily know everything, but know the kind of questions to ask, know what to expect. We have a saying, and it's companies like to pink it and shrink it when they make female styles of different equipment. And so you don't necessarily want they're not bad. They fit the female body better because they are smaller, but they're not always the right option. And you might not know that just because something's labeled as a guy's bow or a woman's bow, which one's right for you until you shoot it.
So I can go in not knowing much, but do a little research ahead of time on maybe a few things that I need to ask. And is it totally comfortable to, like, they're going to let me try however many bows I need?
So, pretty much how it worked at the shop that I worked at was someone would walk in and the first question we always asked was, "Okay, what's your budget?" Because I would really hate to set up someone and let them shoot $1,000 bow to find out they had a $200 budget and now they're in love with this thousand. I mean, that's great for the shop owner, but it sucks for the customer. And you
Right.
want to keep the customer happy. You don't want to set them up with something they can't have. So know your budget beforehand, uh, and know if it's your full equipment budget or if it's just your bow budget because there is a big difference between the two of those. Um, the first thing they're gonna do is ask you if you know your draw length, and if you say no, they're probably gonna measure you. And all that is you hold your arms out tip to tip, and they take a tape measure and run it, and then divide it by 2.5. So super easy, and you don't even have to know it beforehand. And then they're probably gonna just have something. A lot of Mission and Bowtech and a few other bows are more adjustable now than they used to be. So they have something that might actually be in your size, but unfortunately for women, a lot of, say, the Matthews or the Hoyts that are the single draw sizes have to be special ordered. So kind of sucks because we can't try everything we want to out before buying it.
Okay. So tell me again, what bows do have what brands do have bows that are better for women?
Oh, I can't
All of
even
them?
answer that. All of them have great
Okay.
options. It's
So I can't go wrong with
amazing.
anything where it's like, yeah, Hoyt just kind of doesn't really do it for women. They all work.
It's kind of like a Nike versus Lululemon argument. You have your really strong Nike people and you have your really strong Lulu people. Um,
Okay.
so same with, there's the huge Matthews versus Hoyt versus Bowtech groupies out there. And people will just rag on the other companies, but they're all great and they're
What
all
kind of
so close in competition.
what kind of groupie are you?
I shoot a Matthews right now, used to have a Hoyt. Um, Growing up, Matthews was always just, like, the dream bow, like, someday I'll be able to have that, and so now that I could, it was what I wanted to go with, and I really love shooting the Avail, so I've had that for over a year now.
Okay, tell me, what is a budget
Uh-huh.
that is reasonable? So again, we're using me as a test case.
Okay.
I have never had a bow. I
Mhm.
don't really know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to go to the shop. I know my draw length. Um, what is an amount that a first timer should expect to spend?
So, if there are bows that you can walk out for less, but usually, like, the bottom of the price range, cheapest option you can get where it's still worth your money is gonna be $299 for just the bare bow. Then you need your arrows, your release, your sight, your rest, your quiver, and I see your eyes, like, it
I know.
it
I'm
adds
like,
up.
ah.
But usually you can get all of it together for just over 500 if you buy that bow. Now, bows do go up to, like, 1,500 or more for just the bow, but
Is
that's
it
when you
worth
start
it?
getting it depends, but my advice is always shoot within your budget. You don't know that something is smoother, quieter, faster until you shoot it. So if you shoot a bow and you love it, perfect. It's a great bow for you. Don't make yourself hate that bow that was good for you by trying something that's nicer, 'cause with more money, quality does go up.
Okay, so basically, don't go to the mall and grab a Prada purse and see how beautiful and just stunning it is, and then know that, yeah, I really can't afford this. I need to go someplace else. And then, really, nothing is going to quite compare to high end.
Exactly, you'll always just be dreaming of the other one when you should be happy with what you have because any if you're shooting a bow and an arrow, you're an archer. That's all you need, and if you're out there and you're having a good time and you're smiling while you're shooting, perfect. I know people
Awesome.
who they'll go and buy spend $100 on a recurve and some arrows, and they just only fling it at 10 yards, and they are perfectly happy. It's perfect.
Whatever
So
works for you.
exactly.
Okay. Okay, so we have someone, they've shot a bow a few times. Maybe they're just kind of not that into it. Do you have any advice to maybe suck them back in, or a way to keep people engaged with the sport?
Finding your group, your tribe, whatever you wanna call it, getting more involved in your archery community. Shooting by yourself is only so much fun and only so motivating for so long. I've got 2 plus I've got a group of 30 women on my Instagram right now that are locals on my close friends list, and so every time I'm, like, headed to the range now, I'm like, "Okay, who wants to meet me there?" So, find your group, it's a lot more fun to go out. It gets a little competitive, which is fun. We also have leagues in a lot of places, which is kinda like bowling leagues where you get together once a week and you keep score, and, in my state, we have a mail-in, so we compete against other people around the state, so that's kinda fun.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, so just get involved. There's lots of tournament options out there, so even if you're not, you're not a pro and you're out there to win money, that's okay. Go out, lose some arrows. You're gonna break some, you're gonna lose some, but they're fun.
Awesome. Okay, very good advice. I like that. So I've bought my bow. I've been practicing for a while. I'm kind of loving it. What would you say for someone who's now ready to maybe buy up? Okay, I know my bow. I'm really liking it. I think I'm ready for something a little bit bigger, better, stronger. What then does that look like? Like, we just go up in budget, or what are you looking for your
It
next level bow?
Yeah, it depends. So, I mean, if you bought one of those lower price point bows and you have the money to spend, you could definitely go up on that and try the next price range up or save for a while and go a couple up. And getting a draw specific bow once you're an adult is really important because there is a lot of give when you have a bow that can go from 15 to 60 pounds versus one that only has a 10-pound range. They're just a little bit more consistent. But what I would do instead is a lot of people will buy whatever kit the bow shop offers to come on their bow. They can get a quiver, a sight, and a rest for maybe $100. Those are the first things I would upgrade is your sight and your rest. So even before you buy the next bow, I would get drop away rests, especially if you're going to get into hunting, just losing all of that contact that you're having with the whiskers on a whisker biscuit, and a sight that has really bright fibers because that will absolutely make a difference out in the woods.
Okay, a sight with bright fibers. See,
Yep.
so to a rifle girl, I'm like, what are you talking about?
So
Those
on
the
a sight,
pins.
your pins have a little fiber that goes through them. The less expensive ones have a short fiber, so they're not very bright. And then as you go up, they come out and go through a clear tube and back your sight, and that makes them brighter. And then different companies have different modifications that are supposed to make them brighter. Some people shoot a single pin and they get a mover sight, and those are a little bit more money. So there are so many options, though.
Yeah. I think so. And this is what we have a friend, Catherine Hill. She's our editor. Had
Mhm.
never hunted. She's getting into it thanks to reading all of y'all's content. She's like, now, like, I want to go hunting. Like, what do I do? So we took her out hunting this for turkey. She's going to go with us to Montana on a mule deer hunt, but she's had never shot a
Sweet.
rifle. She had shot handguns a little bit, but had never shot a rifle. So now she's like, okay, I need to buy a gun. And then you start talking for us, it's like, well, what gun and what scope and blah blah blah. And so, same thing with guns, like you can pick and choose kind of what you want. But we told her, like, let's go the gun, whatever, like it's important, but it's not that important, but it's more about that scope, right? Like your optics are what are really going to make you see, early in the morning and pull in light or magnification. So that's where we were like, spend a little bit more money on scope
Mhm.
and less money on gun. Like if your budget is XYZ, take some of that off your rifle and put more of it towards your scope. So is there anything like that? Like, okay, whatever my bow, I'll go low to medium end, but make sure you're spending your money on your sight or on your arrows, or what's the most important part?
So, if you are just getting into it, you are gonna break a lot of arrows. So don't worry about spending a lot of you're gonna be spending a lot of money on arrows, so don't worry about buying the most expensive arrows. Just buy the cheap arrows until you're hitting where you wanna hit. Your sight and your rest are both things that you could, I would upgrade right from the beginning, but I'm also someone who believes try out the sport, maybe rent a bow or do a lesson or something, figure out if you're gonna like it, and buy once rather than buying a beginner bow and then buying a more advanced bow, because really there is no such thing as a beginner bow. There's just the different price points. And like I said, if someone goes in and they shoot a bow that's smoother, quieter, faster, they're gonna want that one. So if it's just a couple dollars, couple $100 more, might as well just make the purchase once instead of having to spend almost twice the amount of money.
Okay. And you can rent a bow. I can go to my local archery shop or range and rent a bow.
It it depends on the shop, but a lot of times they will either let you try a lot of stuff out or they will offer lessons or group activities or different things and have bows there that you can use.
Awesome.
It's becoming a lot more common these days.
So, okay, I've bought my first bow. What do I do? Now, what the heck do I do with it? Um, just get set up in my backyard and just start practicing. Make sure you hire an instructor. Like, what would you say? Okay, you've got your bow, you're kind of into it. Now what?
As an instructor, I've seen a lot of bad habits coming out of the people who, YouTube's great. I learn a lot from YouTube. but bad habits develop early on, and it's better if you can get that form down and have someone watching you to make sure that you're not doing something wrong. So doing 1 or 2 lessons, or at least before you walk out of the bow shop, ask the technician to give you some pointers and show you what you're doing. And I had someone who was coming to me for she probably came for 4 weeks, and then she said, "Do I need to keep coming?" And I said, "Honestly, I think you're ready, just go shoot on your own for a while, come back to me in a month, and we'll see, like, if you've developed anything on your not even as another lesson, just come back and I'll watch you shoot for a couple arrows, and we'll make sure you're still on the right track." So, yes, lessons are really good. If you don't have any instructors in your area, start videotaping yourself and then going back and watching it, especially with slow-mo on your phone.
Ooh, good tip. Video yourself.
Mhm.
Slow mo. See, look, I'm writing that down because that's a good one. Okay. This is good. I think I'm ready, but now I'm like, oh, well, I need a whole day because to head to the archery store because they're going to have to spend about 12 hours with me. What's the longest amount of time you've spent with a customer at the shop?
Well, I mean, people come back in, try a couple bows, leave, come back in, try a couple different bows. Sometimes it's a really long process, but at most, probably just a couple hours.
Okay.
Usually, and what you're looking for when you're trying these bows, because you want to go in and you want to try everything that's in your size and your budget. And you're looking for how does it feel in your hand when you're actually just holding the bow? Does that grip feel good? And then how does it feel on the draw? When you draw it back, is it smooth? Is it hard? Is it bumpy? It really shouldn't be bumpy, but uh, and then how does it hold when you're holding it at the back wall? Does it feel like you're in a good position? How is the release? Was it really loud? Did it make any weird noises? Just little things that you should be paying attention to. And then if you're like down to 2 bows and you really can't decide, a lot of times it just comes down to looks.
Okay. Okay.
As material as that sounds, usually you'll have a favorite right off the bat, and that can help you sway your decision.
Awesome. Okay, anything else that I missed that you're like, okay, women, you got to know this, or men, but women.
Women, don't be afraid to go into a bow shop and be surrounded by guys because it's going to happen. A lot of times you're going to go to a league or you're going to go to a shooting range and there's going to be a lot of guys there. Get comfortable shooting with other people and just have fun. Too many people worry and get emotional when they start missing and they let that get into their head and start playing mental games with themselves. Each arrow is done as soon as it leaves your bow, and you gotta just move on to the next one.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's have just a little quick fun here. Must have items. There's a huge fire. You have to grab 3 things running out of your house. What are you going to grab?
Well, we talked about this a little bit, but so the Adam Sandler song, and I'm not gonna sing it, you can look it up later, but he does this little rap, and it's kinda catchy, but it's phone, wallet, keys, and so every time I'm leaving the house, I sing this in my head now.
Okay, so I'll be
And
YouTubing or Googling Adam Sandler's rap phone wallet keys so that we can hear that.
yes, I mean, he's out there with his hoodie, and he's got his keyboardist who, like, is his backup singer. It's hilarious.
Okay,
I think it was part of his stand-up routine.
good to know. Okay, favorite product on the market right now in the outdoor industry? What's kind of your thing that you're like, okay, this is cool?
So, I have always hunted with my dad, and he's kind of just had everything. And so right now I'm able to like go out and try a lot of things on my own. And being that I'm in the archery industry, I actually get to, go to the archery trade show and get to see a lot of people. And so I actually get to experiment with a lot of products. So Target's, the Morel High Roller is absolutely one of my favorite for broadheads and field points. It's easy to carry and it looks cool. You have 6 different sides you can shoot. And then I'm actually using some covert game cameras right now, and they send pictures to my phone. So I signed up for the data plan, which tip, don't call Verizon to get an SD card or your cell phone company to get cards for your phone to sign up for service. Sign up through the game camera company. I called my cell phone company first, and they wanted to charge me like $45 a month for one chip. And I was like, "That's crazy. There cannot be people out there doing this." Well, when I went online with the camera company, they had like a special offer specifically for their cameras. So
Good tip.
don't make that mistake.
Good tip.
Double check.
Yeah, we have some friends that have, the game cams that send the pics to their phones. And like we have a couple of guys that are like an hour north of us with a little ranch. So they'll see like they've got 20 hogs hanging out and they're like, y'all want to go on up? And, we know they're here. They've been here a little
Yeah,
bit. Like, let's go shoot some shit. So,
absolutely.
yeah, those are super cool. Maybe a little too
I
fun.
keep getting really excited every time I get a notification, and then I need to move my cameras because I've gotten 50 pictures of 2 bunny rabbits.
The grass blowing, the cow going by, the clouds. Yes. Game cam pics are so fun and so exhausting to look through.
But it's very
Very
exciting.
exciting. Okay. Do you have any crazy plans for the fall?
I am doing a rifle hunt in Colorado with my dad. So he's a outfitter down there, and so last year I went and didn't have any opportunities, so he got me a landowner voucher to get to go back again this year in the snow, so it'll be, well, maybe in November, so there will probably be snow, so that will be very different for me. I've never hunted at that elevation. Oh, that scared me. Um, uh, at that elevation in that cold of weather before. And then probably just some local deer hunts.
Awesome. Well, that sounds fun. And hey, I really appreciate you coming on. You have so much great advice. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Make sure to follow Steph on Instagram at @Archer_Steph, Steph, or check out her website at StephanieRustad.com. That's StephanieRustad.com. And as always, head over to misspursuit.com, read our amazing articles, buy some super cute merch, and thanks so much for listening to the Miss Pursuit podcast.